So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our new speaker from Texas A&M University, Dr. Matthew Ettels. Today, he will be presenting about building mentoring capacity, professionalizing the mentor's role, and strengthening school-university partnerships. So, everyone, please welcome. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm actually presenting with my colleague, as we did yesterday, Dr. Erin Singer as well. And she's here to her camera, so hopefully she can get unmuted at some point in the next hour.
Can you hear me?
So we're going to co-present, Erin and I. And as we go through, we'll present for about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, and then we'll do about 20, 25 minutes of Q&A. We did present on this topic yesterday of mentoring and coaching, that we've developed this program in Texas. And we had a lot of questions yesterday that we couldn't get to answer all of them. So hopefully some of the folks that were here yesterday are here again today. And if they had questions from yesterday, they can answer them today. So yesterday we did a broad stroke on mentoring and coaching in Texas. And Dr. Erin Singer, who's the lead coordinator on Project MOOPL in the Education Leadership Research Center, did a deep dive on her dissertation and was talking about the outcomes of that in relationships to mentoring and coaching in Texas from a narrative inquiry perspective. Today, we're looking at a mentoring and coaching program that we began in Texas through Texas A&M University, and has now had about 200 participants has gone through this program. So we're going to show you some of the data. We're going to talk about the different modules. We're going to talk about some of the intent of why we designed this learning experience. We call it a micro-credential. The first thing I'm going to do, so the formal title is Building Mentoring Capacity, Professionalizing the Mentor's Role, and Strengthening School-University Partnerships. But I want to introduce our team with you. So we have actually 4 colleagues. The fourth is a graduate assistant. And then we technically have a 5th colleague as well, Dr. Beverly J. Irby, who is the director for the Education Leadership Research Center. And the collaboration for the We Teach Texas P12 Mentoring and Coaching Academy is We Teach Texas. That's where we get part of our name from, which is through the Texas A&M University system. And if anybody here today knows A&M, there are 11 schools within the A&M system. So this is in partnership with all of our sister schools across the entire Texas A&M University network. Then we have with the College of Education, so what we call EHRD, the College of Education and Human Development, and then the ELRC, the Education Leadership Research Center. So it's collaboration between our center that we both work in, the college that we both work in, and the university that we both work in. So it's a kind of from the grassroots up program. We have our executive director, who is Dr. Valerie Hill-Jackson. She's also an associate dean in the College of Education, and she's also an instructor and professor in TLAC as well, has worked there for many years. Dr. Erin Singer, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Singer. We presented yesterday. I'm the lead coordinator for Project Massive Open Online Professional Individualized Learning, and I'm the co-director for the We Teach Texas P12 Mentoring and Coaching Academy, and I'm the director of curriculum and instruction.
And then for myself, I'm Dr. Matthew Ettels, and I'm the director of marketing and recruitment for We Teach Texas. I'm also the lead coordinator for a multi-million-dollar grant called A+. We work with underserved schools in the US, and we build teacher capacity and education leader capacity. And then I'm also the director of education outreach, marketing and communications for both the Education Leadership Research Center and our dual language center, which is called Credella, which is the Center for Research and Dual Language Literacy Acquisition. So that's our roles, and we have a couple of grad students that work with us as well. They do some of day-to-day pieces, and we have close collaboration with many of the school districts in Texas to send their teachers through this program. Okay, so as you'll see on the next slide, the agenda that we have today, we're going to talk about the mission, the vision, the benefits of We Teach Texas. We call it P12 moving forward, or MCA is the name for it. We'll talk about the knowledge and experience, the analysis activity. We'll have a quick look at that. We'll also look at the rationale of why it's important to do training and to professionalize the mentor's role. We'll look at the scope and sequence, so the overview of the program. We'll take a curriculum tour, so you get to see what's inside all 7 modules. Normally you don't get to see inside programs unless you're paying to take the micro-credential, but we're going to show you today. Then we'll talk about why mentoring capacity matters. Dr. Singer covered some of that yesterday. We'll cover some of that today. And then we'll also talk about growing the mentoring and coaching community. That's something that we've had great success with. And then we'll talk about the 4 levels of the Mentoring and Coaching Academy, so 4 levels of MCA, the significance of that, and then we'll hopefully get into rich and productive Q&A with you. Okay, so as you'll see on the next slide, one of the reasons why we developed this is that in the Texas Education Code, and Texas is not standalone in having a code of this nature. Many states in the US have a similar code within their education code, and this is the one for Texas. So it says that the cooperating teacher or the mentor, the terms are used interchangeably in the Texas education system, that they should be from the same school. They should be from the same subject. So if I'm an English teacher, my mentor should be an English teacher. If I'm a science teacher, my mentor should be a science teacher. They must meet the qualifications determined by the Commissioner for Education. They should have at least 3 years of experience, of teaching experience, to be in a supervising position with new teachers, neophyte teachers, as we call them. They must go through a research-based mentor and induction training program that is approved by the Commissioner. So the Commissioner has a list of programs. Many of those programs must have 2 years of program to be on that vendor list, to be on that mentor list, and then have completed a mentor training program, which is approved by the district. For our program, because we are less than 2 years having this mentoring coaching program, we fall under the program which can be approved by the district. Next year, we will fall under the program which is research-based and can be approved by the Commissioner. So as we say in Texas, we're fixing to get promoted next year to the Commissioner level course. So as you'll see on the next slide, the vision that we have is that the overall vision is that we're transforming the preparation process for teacher mentors by providing an evidence-based professional development for P12 mentors and coaches who support beginning teachers throughout the state of Texas. There are 400,000 teachers in Texas who are eligible to go through this program. So our work has just begun with that respect in terms of the percentage of teachers that have gone through the program. But as you'll see today, the outcomes of the program and where they were before they started the program in terms of their mentoring and coaching confidence versus where they are at the end of the program, you will see a significant difference between the pre-post test. So as you'll see on the next slide, a couple of things we should think about and a few things we should consider. We have to make sure that the mentor is making a difference for beginning teachers. We know that the mentor-mentee relationship in the first 2 years and the first 5 years for neophyte educators has a significant outcome on the trajectory of their career. If teachers are thrown in the classroom without support, without mentoring, without a mentoring framework, the likelihood is that they will leave that school and potentially they could leave the field. So they could spend 4 years training to become a teacher, 5, 6, if they go on to get a master's, and within 1 year, they're seeking out a different career. So it can have quite a detrimental and significant impact on how teachers enter the field and how teachers leave the field. So mentors often are chosen by administrators based on their years of experience, not necessarily their knowledge in mentoring and coaching. Teachers are not always asked if they want to become a mentor. Both Erin and I can tell you stories about our first couple of years in education, how we were assigned mentors that we had no relationship with, and then how when we became mentors, we were assigned mentees that we had nothing in common with, we had no relationship with. Sometimes it was as simple as they had the classroom next to us. So we were meant to mentor somebody out of convenience, as opposed to any framework that was being implemented based on research. Some veteran teachers feel that mentoring a novice teacher is a burden. We know that teachers are busy. Somebody asked yesterday how much American teachers work. The data show that American teachers have the most contact time with students of any teachers in the world. So they have the least free time. And then if you know class sizes in the US as well, you're looking about 25, 28 in a class if you're on a good day. So we know that American teachers are very busy. That leads sometimes to the gift of mentoring and coaching not being perceived as that and being perceived as a burden. It's for some educators, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's just an extra thing to do. Sometimes they're not commensurate to that role, so they're not paid to be a mentor. It's just something they're asked to do. It's a volunteer role. So teachers will tend to focus on the things that they're getting paid for and the things that are evaluated on their performance assessments. And sometimes mentoring can fall by the wayside and become a burden for mentors. That is then exacerbated if the mentor has had negative mentor-mentee relationships in the past. They now have a negative connotation, or they have negative feelings about being a mentor. Maybe it hasn't worked out for them. Maybe they've had some conflict. Maybe the mentee didn't gel well with them. So they have this feeling of, this isn't something I want to do. This isn't how I want to spend my time. But then they get assigned by the school without anybody asking them. So one of the things we've seen during COVID in the US is what we call policy by email. So instead of having a conversation during a meeting or being spoken to in the corridor, sometimes teachers will just get an email saying, this is what we're doing next week. This is the policy. This is the decision. It's really hard for educators to have buy-in and to have ownership, to have agency, and to have an identity around their professionalization if they're not asked or included. We sometimes refer to that as having a place at the table. If we don't include educators in the decision-making process, it's very difficult for them to take ownership and really flourish in the decision-making processes if they're just told the outcome. Even when some teachers are not assigned a mentor, they have a personal conflict with their mentor. There may be something there for them that's just not working, and they'll seek out somebody who can support them. We call that, and this was a question that came up yesterday, the mentor which is assigned to you in the school is your formal mentor. They're kind of your official mentor. The person that you might meet by the photocopier, or the teacher that's 2 doors down, or a colleague on Facebook from another school, or a teacher group that you find, somebody at your local restaurant that you like to go to who's also an educator, and you bump into each other every Friday. They might become your informal mentors. So there is a difference between formal mentors and informal mentors. Our program looks at those formal mentors, but also creates opportunities for informal mentors to become credentialed. Okay, good. Thank you, Dr. Singer.
So our platform, we use Canvas for our modules, and Canvas, I'm not sure, it's like Blackboard. It's like I'm not sure if you guys have such a thing, but it's an online platform, and we put all of our courses on there, and the participants get a link, and they can log in and take the courses at their own leisure. It's a 10-day program, but they have as long as they want in that 10 days to complete the 7 modules. Each one of the modules consists of a pre and a post quiz, discussions, and we have some discussions on social media. One module asks that they post on Twitter, and the other module asks that they post on Facebook. They have a reflection at the end. And they have access to a virtual coach. So 3 Thursdays out of the month, I hold a meeting, we call it a debriefing, where everyone who has completed the 7 modules meet in a Zoom meeting and we talk about what they've learned and how they're going to use the things that they've learned in their mentoring practice at their schools and in their districts. And the other thing that they end up having at the end of this is a performance management plan, which we'll talk about. It's the 7th module, and it involves teacher evaluation in Texas.
Okay, so the way that we've designed the MCA, oh, sorry, go ahead, Erin.
No, it's yours, it's fine.
Okay, so the way that we have designed the MCA is to use the leader model. And within the leader model, there's a couple of different pieces. So the first piece is that we have leading questions, which should frame the conversation, and they should frame the direction of the module. That leads to a section on engagement. That is designed to bring the person taking the MOOPL in to make sure that they're really focused. Sometimes that's an example of what it looks like. That's meant to give them a framework that they can understand the learning in. Then we use the research. So what does the research say? What does the evidence say? It provides the person taking the course cutting edge, up-to-date information on what is happening in the field currently. And then that leads to a discussion. So how would you talk about this? What are some questions we can pose to the participant that would get them thinking about their topic? What are some things that they might not have thought about that we can trigger in their mind to get them thinking more broadly? And then we give them concrete examples. So think of this as a case study. We give them an example of what this would look like in context. So for example, if I were talking about mentoring, I might have some leading questions on how would you mentor a new teacher? The engagement then might be an example of what this might look like in the classroom. Then we go to the applied research. So what does the research say about neophyte, new teachers and how they need to be mentored? What do they need? What are they looking for? Then we go into the discussion, and then the example would be, you are Jack's mentor. Jack has had an issue with a student with classroom management. How would you advise Jack? And then you go into that discussion and that example piece. And then the last piece that we have is the reflection. And we make sure that we also have a reflection cycle, which is research-based as well, that leads them through a whole reflection stage to make sure that they're doing some deep critical thinking and there's deep cognition, metacognition happening during that phase. Good, thanks, Dr. Singer. So what that looks like in the MCA curriculum is that we have 7 modules, 7 steps. So the first one is adult learning theory. That is for beginning teachers and adults to go through and to have how they would leverage the mentoring relationship. So that's the first part, how they think about self-directed learning, how they think about becoming internally motivated, responsible, and then that gives them a template for learning. In the second module, participants learn about the mentor-mentee dyad. And in that part, it creates strong, authentic mentor-mentee relationships. It isn't just the kind of lip service of passing in the corridor. Is everything fine? Yes, everything's fine. We know from our own research that we do in the center that when we're asking education leaders how they are in the corridor, they're not going to tell you, A, there may be their students around, and B, if they were to really tell you what's happening for them and how they really feel, it's going to take more than a 5-minute conversation. So when you ask teachers in the corridor, everything fine, how are you doing? It's the same as when we're walking past each other to work and we say, good morning, how are you? Are you really ready for an hour-and-a-half conversation on how I actually am? Okay, so we got to think about how we approach these mentor-mentee relationships and where those mentor-mentee relationships happen and what we expect to gain from those moments. That leads us into high leverage teaching practices. This is where we start thinking about being culturally responsive. This is the multicultural aspect to the Mentoring and Coaching Academy. We start looking at the socio-emotional learning of mentors and mentees. And that leads us to module 4, so best practices in mentoring. What does every beginning teacher need to have as experiences, and what do they need to exhibit as evidence-based ideas or qualities that will really set them up for a successful career, and how can the mentor provide that to their mentee. And then in the 5th module, we look at coaching beginning teachers. So there is a difference between mentoring and coaching. They're not the same thing, and the two words should not be used interchangeably. And I hope you've had lots of opportunities during this conference to see the difference. So my coach might come in, and let's talk about football, okay, or American football, as we call it, because I know many people in Cambodia call it soccer, is what they understand as football. So if we talk about American football, I might have a coach who comes in and tells me, for this play, we need to do A, B, and C. For this touchdown, we need to do this. My mentor might be the person who follows me for a longer period of time and really motivates me. Why do you want to play football? What do you want to achieve in your career? What are your aspirations? Which team do you think would be best for you? That might be the person that's mentoring me. My coach is much more short-term, kind of on the day. The longer-term relationship is the one that I have with a mentor. So a coach in a school setting might be somebody who I took a class with. They're the instructor for the class, and they've coached me through the material. But my dissertation chair, or Erin, being my colleague, has mentored me for years. So I wouldn't consider her a coach, but she would fit in as a mentor. Then we look at the online mentoring piece. So we know that mentoring people face-to-face is different from online mentoring. This is a module that has become very prevalent because of COVID-19, something that we planned for early on to have an online module, and something that's really stepped forward as a leader of this course. And then performance management. So we are obsessed in education with accountability and transparency. And if teachers are doing something in the classroom, there's a rubric that we can tick as they're doing the thing that they're doing. So the performance management module really helps them to start getting a framework. In Texas, we use t-tests. Some schools in Texas use a thing called TADS. Some schools have developed their own testing system, but the main piece that Dr. Singer will talk to you about is called t-test, and that's the performance management for beginning teachers. That's where you make them goal-orientated. That's where it has to be measurable. It should be collaborative. It should be specific. It should be actionable. There should be routine, and most importantly, it should be confidential. We have to let beginning teachers flourish and thrive in a safe and trusting and authentic environment. They have to know that if they tell you something, you're not going to run down the corridor and tell 10 people. You're not going to put it on Facebook Live. It will stay confidential. That's an integral part of the relationship to build collegiality. Good. Thank you, Dr. Singer.
All right, so the first module was adult learning theory, and the research says that adults are motivated to learn because they need to know something. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because there are 7 modules, and these can get rather lengthy. So, and it's learning through self-centered, through life situations. I need to know how to mentor a new teacher, so I need to take a class. I need to know what adult learning looks like. And so we have adults have a deep need to be self-directed. So these are things that they think about and they decide, okay, I'm going to take a class because I need to know this. All right. A sound mentoring perspective can lead to a growth for the beginning teacher in the areas of increased self-esteem, effective problem-based learning, self-direction, and validation of prior experiences. So just because a teacher knows how to teach children does not necessarily mean that they know how to teach adults how to do teaching. Module 2 is the mentor-mentee dyad. So this is based on relationships and building relationships. You know, Dr. Etchells and I had talked yesterday about the different types of relationships we've had as mentors and as mentees. And my story is pretty typical among teachers in Texas, where the mentor was told that they were going to be a mentor and they weren't asked. They didn't want to be the mentor. They didn't have time to be a mentor. And so those relationships don't form. And the novice teacher ends up just floundering for months or even years, depending on if they can find someone to help them. So it's very important that the mentor and the mentee are matched, other than being next door to each other or teaching the same subject or teaching the same grade level. Because for the most part, novice teachers feel very ill prepared when they enter the teaching field. And when I was teaching undergraduates, I would tell them that, you know, we have all of these classes for you. You're going to learn a lot of things in the classes, but the first day of school is when you really start to learn what it is to be a teacher. So you can go observe and you can go be a student teacher, but it's completely different until you are the person in charge of those 28, 29, 30 students for the entire day. High leverage teaching practices. To be considered high leverage, a teaching practice must improve the achievement of all students, occur frequently in instruction, and be learnable by novice teachers. So this is the lesson planning. This is including cultures in their lessons. It's making sure that students are treated equitably and fairly in their classes. And so we need to make sure that these high leverage practices because they have been demonstrated to be effective in classrooms, and novice teachers don't necessarily have those experiences on how to incorporate these different aspects of learning in their classes with their children. That's an example. Best practices in mentoring. This is where we talk about the characteristics of mentoring. You know, what makes a good mentor? And we've already discussed that it's trust. Trust is very important. You know, if you've got a mentee that's having a very bad day, you don't want to go off and tell the principal that the mentee's falling apart. They don't have any idea what they're doing. That's just reflective of one bad day. So a mentor teachers are integral parts of novice teachers' induction into the field of education. As new teachers face increasing challenges throughout the first 5 years. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit about the different needs and the different challenges that teachers face in public education. We work long hours. Many teachers show up, you know, an hour or 2 hours before school, and many teachers stay an hour or 2 hours after school. So the actual school day from 8 to 3 isn't really what those teachers are working. They're there at 6 and they're working till 5 o'clock in the evening, sometimes later. They're giving up their planning periods to be with kids. And you know, they're planning lessons, and then on top of that, trying to mentor a novice teacher. So effective mentoring can help to alleviate some of the stress of a novice teacher, because honestly, as a brand new teacher, and I remember being a brand new teacher, it was just a shock that I had so many things that I had to do in one day. You know, between grading and monitoring and, you know, lunch duty and after school duty, and trying to teach a lesson to 30 students who were in 4th grade and they were rowdy. And so the first semester that I taught, I didn't think I was going to be a teacher the next year. Right around October, I had really questioned whether I'd made a good choice to become a teacher, and what I could do after that. And then when I found a mentor, it changed my trajectory to be to remaining a teacher. The coaching module is again, like Dr. Etchels was saying, it's for a short period of time, usually for a skill of some sort. So a classroom management or teaching a certain lesson, poetry or grammar. Or I taught English for many years. So those would be little lessons that I would need to coach some of my teachers on. And we did have a safe environment for them to make mistakes. If they made a mistake, I wasn't critical. I said, well, you know, it's a good way to learn. You don't learn anything unless you're actually making a mistake. So it involves active listening, powerful questioning, creating awareness of what needs to happen in the classroom, and designing and planning and setting goals with the mentee. The online mentoring. We've started this since the coronavirus has hit, we've in Texas and really across the United States, we've really started to rely quite a bit on Zoom and GoToMeeting and Google Hangouts and things like that. And what we've found is that some of our novice teachers aren't able to connect face to face with their mentors, so they are doing this virtually. But it doesn't just mean on Zoom; it means through Twitter and Facebook and personal connections with text messaging. So it's all of the online things that we can use today to communicate with one another that are being used to mentor teachers. And the T-test. So T-test, and it stands for Texas Teacher Evaluation and Support System. And there's several different modules that that teachers need to be able to complete. And so this module, this final module, provides the mentor with the explanation of each one of the objectives that new teachers need to meet throughout their first year of teaching. It provides feedback. So providing beginning teachers with regular feedback on their performance is integral to their growth and development, but not all mentors feel confident doing this. So this whole module revolves around how to use the T-test appropriately and effectively for a brand new teacher. So, and here we go.
So when we look at our pre-post test data, so we give a survey before they begin the MCA, and then we give a survey at the end of the MCA. Moreover, there's two other things that happen. Dr. Singer does a debrief with the cohort as well. So she meets with them one-on-one on GoToMeeting, and talks about the modules, talks about how they're applying it, talks about some of the issues that they may have faced, challenges, beneficial outcomes. So we do a full debrief with them. And then every Thursday, we do a online meeting where we have a presenter and then we have a discussion around that presentation. So imagine the espresso version of what you have today. We do a capacity building and knowledge building session, which is well attended and is growing rapidly. So our pre-survey, we asked them, and you'll see some of those questions in a second. We asked them about confidence levels. 18.26% said they are confident or extremely confident in their mentoring and coaching abilities. When we look at the post-survey data, 93.6% said that they are confident or very confident. So that's after 15 hours of the Mentoring and Coaching Academy at level 1. So that's a difference of, when you add up the numbers, it's a difference of 75.35. So we feel that that is very impactful. That is a huge difference in a short period of time over a 10-day academy, over 15 hours of learning. We think going from 18% through to 93%, we are very confident that we're onto something significant here, and that this will be well used within schools in Texas. To look at some of that survey data a little bit more closely, regardless of the questions that we asked them, there wasn't a single question where the post-test was higher than the pre-test. For every question that we asked, whether it be around a framework or a level of understanding, they all reported, and this is consistent results coming back to us, that they grew significantly in their understanding of that module, of that information. So I think, just to put it in layman's terms, these results are great. We're very happy about these results. We think it's very encouraging to know that we've designed a really efficacious program that we can implement with fidelity. So we're very confident about the product that we have, which is the Mentoring Coaching Academy. And here's the exciting piece for Texans. And then I'll talk to you what this means in Cambodia. So level 1 is the 15 hours, which is a 10-day course where they complete the 7 modules that we've just presented to you today. Level 2 is something that we'll be launching early in 21, and that is 50 continuing professional development hours across 30 days. There's a much greater focus at level 2 on the mentor-mentee dyad. starting to bring in more rubrics, more framework. What does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis? More portfolio-based learning for the mentee, more capacity building for the mentor. It's a much more broadened out program than level one. Level one is you didn't know, or 18% knew, and now 93% know. So level one is you didn't know, and now you know. Level two is what do you do with that knowledge? How do you start implementing it in your day-to-day lives of your mentees? How do you start using that knowledge in your classrooms? Level three, and this is something specific to Texas A&M and College Station. Level three and level four will involve 4 Texas A&M University courses. And what the Dean for the College of Education said, Dean Alexander, has said that she will cover the tuition for half of those 4 courses. So she'll pay the tuition on 2 of those 4 courses right now. So we think that's a really great step forward. That will mean that if folks go through all 4 levels, they will leave Texas A&M University with a micro-credential from a tier 1 research institution. We know that that will pop on a resume. It will stand out on a resume. We've seen it on a couple of resumes now. And it really stands out that pre-service teachers, and ask your teachers in Cambodia that you're training, if any of you are training new teachers, ask them how important it is to them to go into a school where there is a mentoring framework in place. You are creating, as I said yesterday to Mr. Netra, you're creating an incubator for your teachers. You're creating a nest for them, a safe place where they can emerge into their teacher identity. If they walk into a school and there's no mentor-mentee framework, there's no mentoring and coaching academy set up, the likelihood is they're not going to last in that school. They may leave your school, they may leave the career entirely, and then we've lost a teacher that could have been teaching for 40, 50 years. Significant impact on the field if that happens over a long period of time. So they're the 4 levels. What does this mean in terms of significance and a summary? So we know that building capacity is the thing which the Mentoring and Coaching Academy does. We know, and we'll be collecting data on this over the next year, we know that the MCA will support retention of high quality teachers. And we know that we've added a level of accountability that wasn't there before. And as I said yesterday, it seemed odd to us that teachers have to be credentialed, they must be certified, assistant principals must be certified, they need credentials, principals need credentials, superintendents need credentials, but the mentor doesn't need any credentials. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense if you think about it logically. What is logical is that the mentor is credentialed and then that they have the knowledge and they can unify that knowledge with the skills that they have and the experience that they have to provide effective mentoring for their mentee. That just makes sense to us. And we're better to gather that knowledge than somewhere like Texas A&M University, where we've been mentoring for decades. We know what we're doing very well with this. And for some of our people in the center, like Dr. Beverly Irby, she has multiple books on mentoring. She has a journal that she runs. She's the chief editor for a mentoring and tutoring journal. So really, you're getting it from the experts in terms of the design of this course and the implementation of this course. And what I would say before we move to questions, I would say that I would think very carefully, because I really liked yesterday that we had some folks saying, I'm in the Philippines, I'm in Canada, I'm in Australia. Like, you've got people, this conference is amazing. It's your first one doing it this year. Hats off to you, you're doing a great job. You're all outstanding. And to have 106 people in this session right now is wonderful. And I wonder how many people are from different countries. And I'd like to see people saying where they're from, so I can see all the different countries pop up in the chat. That'd be really nice to be able to understand and to see. And I'm sure you know as well from the registration, the different countries that folks are from. But it would be really interesting for folks to email me, to email the MCA, and to see if we can bring something like this program, like the level 1 program. Like, can we bring this to Cambodian universities? Is this something that Cambodian teachers could take? They could go through the Mentoring and Coaching Academy. Is this something that we could do in Canada? Is this something we could do in the Philippines? Could we do this across Asia? Could we do this across Europe? All of this is online. It's all accessible through the Mentoring and Coaching Academy. And I don't see a reason why somebody couldn't take this course and then implement the knowledge that they gain in the school that they work in and build the capacity of the mentors in their school. And potentially that could lead to more teachers staying in your school, higher retention rate. And if you don't have a retention issue in your school, I mean, we talked about the difference yesterday between Cambodian teacher retention and American teacher retention. And we know that America has a much greater issue than Cambodia with teacher retention. Degrees of respect for the profession, the number of teachers going into the profession, all that looks different in American Cambodia. And we're respectfully aware of those differences. But I wonder, could the Mentoring and Coaching Academy be something that comes to Cambodia and that creates an environment where teachers feel even more supported? It increases retention even more. There's a benefit even more. We know that pedagogy is not androgyny, and that when we look at how adults learn and how children learn, there are differences there. And those differences need to be learned from adults to support adults. We know that that is different from the way that we train our teachers. And I think it's the same in Cambodia. There might not be half a year spent on how do you teach adults, unless you're going into adult education like university. So this would be my challenge to you. Connect with us, communicate with us, and see if we can bring the Mentoring and Coaching Academy to your university, your school. And I hope there's 108 different countries in the meeting right now, and that we get this opportunity in 108 different countries. That would be a productive semester for me to make that happen for you all. But I'm happy, if everybody else is happy, to open it up to questions. I think we have about 15, 20 minutes for questions.
Okay, thank you so much, doctors, for sharing a good topic again, because yesterday you also did it, but today you get more wonderful information about teaching at Texas University. Okay, now let me read the question for you, Professor or doctors. So let's start with Mr. Kung Hien. The question is, some people are fixed mindset. So what are the effective questions should be used for inspiring them to change? Thank you.
I think we have a metaphor that we use in the center about, and we use it with professional learning communities. And I know you have PLCs in Cambodia. So within professional learning communities, it tends to be that knowledge might not come from outside. So I know if I spend time just with myself and I spend time with my 5 friends, that's all I have after my PhD is 5 friends. If I spend time with my 5 friends, we're going to talk about the same things. We're interested in the same things. We watch the same movies. We read the same books. We listen to the same music. So our bubble of what we understand the world to be is going to be fixed. If I bring knowledge from outside, another country, another community, another way of thinking, I can start to grow and start to have a growth mindset. And what we find, if you can give people that thirst for a growth mindset, it will continue. So think of it like a tree. If you can plant the seeds of change and you can plant the seeds of looking for information outside of your circle, outside of your community, outside of your school, outside of your university, outside of your country, we know that that benefits. And I will say that Texas A&M is the #1 university in Texas for study abroad. We send more students to other countries than any other university in Texas. We're #1 for that. We've seen great benefit at Texas A&M University in the way that our students see the world. I don't have to stand in a classroom and say, you know, there are issues in the American education system. And my students don't sit there and go, what do you know? You're British. You're not even from here, right? We don't have that conversation. They will say, oh yeah, when I was in Italy last semester, I saw this in schools. When I went to Australia during the summer, I saw this in schools. When I went to England and Ireland and France on my study abroad, I saw this in schools. So that really looking out enables you to look in. And by understanding others, we know ourselves. So that's how you create, you get away from a fixed mindset.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Now the next question is from Zach. Could you please clarify about applying leader model? Thank you.
The applied research. So the applied research in is just our the different researchers who have done research on whatever the topic is, either the mentor-mentee dyad, adult learning theories, and it's the research behind the module. So it's all the different researchers who have talked about it, who are giving their opinions and thoughts, and just different research based on that topic.
Yeah, and to answer that question more directly, the leader model is those steps. It's the leading questions, the engage, research, discussion, example, reflection. If you look at those words, that spells leader. So the leader model is going through those steps, and we've done research that says that if you go through these steps, you're going to have deep critical thinking as a result of going through this process. And I shared them yesterday. I'm happy to share them again. All of the MOOPLs that we have in the center, and I'll cut and paste them into the chat again like I did yesterday. Hopefully everybody got them yesterday. All of the MOOPLs that we have, every single one of the 850 MOOPLs that I have in the grant that I lead and Erin has in the grant that she leads, they all follow the leader model, every single one. There's not a one that doesn't follow it. They all follow it. So, and we've done research that leader model is a good critical thinking, provoking
Model.
learning style, learning cycle. So I'll share those links. Once we get to the next question, I'll cut and paste them again for everybody.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Okay, next question is from Jansi. Would you mind telling us how do you deal with online mentoring and what are your procedures of doing it? Thanks.
So for the online mentoring, when I lead online mentoring sessions, and I do this quite a bit, we have a cohort group of teachers that are participating with us, and each week I meet with them weekly with the cohort, and we discuss the different MOOPLs. MOOPLs are the online learning modules that we have, and so what happens is they go through some of the modules by themselves, and then once a week we meet with them. The mentors meet with them. There's several mentors in our program that help me meet with our cohorts, and every week we meet and we discuss what they learned and how they learned, and what they plan to do, how they plan to apply it in their classrooms, or as mentors, how they plan to apply it with their mentees.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Now, next interesting question is from Koili. The question is, some mentees show us negative behaviors before we work with them because they fear that a mentor is younger than them. He has less experience of teaching, and some mentors come from different majors. So what are the effective ways to prove that we are capable enough to give them support and help in terms of improving their teaching profession? Thank you.
I don't know what you'd say in Cambodia, but in England we say the proof is pudding. I don't know if that translates. So for me, when I first started my teaching career, I was 21 years old, my first time in the classroom. And I went in as head of drama at a school in Kent, just outside London. So I was one of the youngest people in the school in a leadership position. I had 8 teachers who were part-time. A lot of them were English teachers. They'd been in the school for a long period of time. And I had one new teacher, and he and I were about the same age. The difference was in my ability to mentor him and to lead the department and to lead the other teachers was that I had the knowledge. I'd worked hard at university, and it wasn't accidental that I became the head of department. It was a good choice by the school, and it was a good choice by me to begin my career there. So I think, as we say in England, the proof is in the pudding. Over time, you will show your mentee that you know what you're talking about. Moreover, you'll have that confidentiality, you'll have that collaborative relationship, you'll have that collegiality, that it's okay to make mistakes. I lead a team now of come January, about 25 people. I make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes on a daily basis. I think of it like cooking. Sometimes I'm cooking and I added too much salt. Or sometimes I'm cooking and I didn't add enough eggs and the cake didn't rise. Every time I make a mistake, I'm one step closer to getting it right next time. And when you have the trust of a team and when you have the trust of a mentee, they will follow you in that journey because they believe where we're going is better than where we've just come from. And I believe that the mentoring that you're giving me is going to make me more effective at my job. I'm going to be happier in my job. I'm going to be able to serve the children that I'm teaching with more fidelity. So all these pieces is the trust and the authenticity of the relationship are really important, and that will change some of the negativity. If you look at it, right, think about people like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. Nobody in Silicon Valley wanted to listen to Zuckerberg when he first started Facebook. Now he's advising Congress on how technology should be working. Look at Elon Musk. When Elon Musk first started, he's like some goofy guy in his garage, like doesn't know anything about anything. And now look at SpaceX and what that company has become. So I think we're moving away from this chronological hierarchy of if somebody's 20 years older than you, then they must be right. And I know culturally this is a difficult conversation in Cambodia because respect your elder. I know for myself, if I go back to my home community, I'm one of maybe 2-3 people from my school that have a PhD. We might be the same age, but where I am on the inside in terms of my knowledge is very different from what I look like on the outside. So I think that over time, your mentor-mentee relationship will become positive because you will know what you're talking about. You'll take a program like the Texas A&M Mentoring and Coaching Academy and think about all the knowledge you will have at the end of a program like that. What I will say, and I'll say this very honestly, if you're trying to mentor somebody, but you've done no work in knowing your profession of being a mentor, you've done no work in building your knowledge and your skills, then your mentee has a right to not respect you. They have a right to be agitated by you. They have a right to not listen to you. Why should they make the effort when you're not making the effort? It's a reciprocal relationship. You have to trust them. They have to trust you. You have to do your homework. They have to do their homework. It's a two-part relationship. You're in it together. It's not you and them. You're one entity moving in the school to the greater purpose. That's how you have to think about the relationship.
Okay, it's so great to hear from your answers. And I hope that you can answer to our audience question. Okay, the next question is from Samir. He stated that I am from Teacher Training Center in Battambang Province, Cambodia. We have over 600 student teachers and 100 teacher educators. Do you think that we, 100 teacher educators, should have a role as mentors, or should we have another person to play the role of mentor at our center? Thank you.
I think, and Erin, please chime in. I think for us, everybody in a school at some point during the day, during the week, during the month, during the year is in a mentoring role. There'll be many times in the day, and it's not fixed. It's not like I wear a badge all the time that says mentor. Sometimes I will mentor Erin. She might have something she wants to talk about, and I will talk her through it. Sometimes I will call Erin, and I'm like, I don't know where this document is. I don't know how to do this with the computer. Like tonight, I'm like, Erin, where's the link for the conference? Right. So sometimes we will mentor each other, and Erin might say to me, Matthew, put it in a folder. Put everything in one folder, then you're organized. Save it in a certain way so you know where it is. So over time, we both become better from being mentors. If you're living in a house, think of your home, right? You might have your partner, you have children. At some point, everybody's cooking. It's not like one person is allowed in the kitchen, nobody touched the knife, nobody's allowed to use the cutting board, nobody touched like the fruit and veg, that's just for the chef. If you have that, then you only learn one way of cooking, you only eat one type of food. By letting everybody join in that relationship, let everybody a stakeholder, let everybody be a partner. everybody's involved in mentoring and coaching. That benefits everybody in the whole school. So I would say everybody. But what I would say is you can take $1 from each of those 600 teachers, and then you can buy me or Erin a plane ticket to come and show you what this looks like in your school.
Yes.
That's what I would say. You can bring us out and we'll come and consult with you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Now, okay, we have 4 last minutes. So, okay, the next question from Nitra. I really appreciate the online format leader model. Could you please provide some more justifications in terms of how to implement it for both offline and online classes? Thank you.
The short answer, offline wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because it's an online program. So offline would be difficult. It would be similar to, you know how sometimes when somebody in the office will say, can you print this email out for me? You defeat the purpose of email the second you print it.
By printing it out, yes.
Right? So it's an online program. It should be used through the internet. It should be collaborative. It should be something which can be national. It can be something which is international. The second we take it offline and we put it into a book, or we use it as we share it in a folder, just the PowerPoints, it stops our ability to make it cutting edge. It means we can't update the research, we can't keep it current. It starts to become stagnant from the second we do that.
Right.
For us, the MCA will always be an online program, because then we know that if you're taking it in 2020, you're getting 2020 research. If you're taking it in 2021, you're getting 2021 research, because we'll always update it. We'll always keep working at it. We're just kind of fiddling and tweaking it and just adding this bit of research, that bit of knowledge. So it will always be an online program. Great thing about being an online program is you can take it asynchronously. So you could take it at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can do a module at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can do a module on a Saturday, whenever you feel. And we know giving learners the power to take control of their education and learn when they're in the mood to learn has a greater retention rate on what they remember from the course. And it's simple. If you told me now, eat this bowl of food, and I've just had dinner, I'm not interested. But if you tell me whenever you want, you can put this in the microwave and eat it, you can heat this food up and it's yours, I'm much more likely to consume it given my own choices. So for us, this will always be an online program. And it will always be something that we offer in an asynchronous way, with the check-in with Erin at the end, and then the mentoring and coaching community on the third Thursday. And if you find us on Facebook, MCA TAMU, or Texas A&M Mentoring and Coaching Academy, if you can find us on Facebook, you're more than welcome to come to our third Thursdays and see what we're doing. And then you might feel like, oh, I want to join the Mentoring and Coaching Academy. And you're more than welcome. We would love it if everybody in Cambodia came in and took the academy.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, last but not least question from Kim San. How many mentees that mentors should have responsibility for effective helping? Thank you.
So ideally, it's a one-to-one situation, one mentor and one mentee, so that and it really depends on what the responsibilities the responsibilities of the mentor. I worked in a school district where I was an instructional coach, and I had 25 teachers underneath me that I had to coach and mentor for a school year. 25 teachers to me is way too many teachers to have to try and touch base with every day and talk to every day and try and figure out if they're okay, if I need to help more in their classroom. So for me, no more than a couple of teachers being mentored by one mentor. It really should be a one-to-one type of thing, so that you can build a relationship, so that you do find things that are in common, and that your attention isn't split between 10 different mentees. That's not effective. That's like trying to watch TV, listen to the radio, try and look at Facebook and there's too many things that are dividing your attention on that. And it's very important that the mentee and the mentor have a relationship that's based on just what's between them.
And remember as well that this program is designed so that all your teachers with 3 or more years of experience are mentoring your teachers in their first and second year. So really in a school, I would be concerned if you had more teachers in their first and second year than you had with 3 or more years of experience. That would be concerning for me. So you can always achieve the one-to-one mentor-mentee relationship using this model, if that makes sense.
Doctor, can I ask you around 1 or 2 more questions? Okay, because I see a lot of good questions from our audience. So, okay, let me read them. So, okay. So, um, okay, from Mr. Dundara, the question is, by your experience of mentoring, would you give some curriculum framework for mentoring? Thank you.
So which framework, sorry?
Curriculum framework for mentoring.
Curriculum framework. Erin, would you like to cover that? It's kind of the research base that we have in the MCA.
Right. So
what knowledge foundation are we coming from?
Right. So it's the applied research, and we're looking at the different researchers, and we use Linda Darling Hammond, we use Gloria Ladson-Billings, we use Malcolm Knowles, and Lisa Baumgartner. So we have all these theorists and practitioners who we're researching with to come up with the modules. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think if my understanding is right, Dr. Singer did her dissertation on mentoring and why mentoring is important and mentoring novice teachers. If you look at A&M University Library, you can find her dissertation and you can read it, because a majority of what's been cited in the Mentoring and Coaching Academy is drawn from Dr. Singer's expertise as an expert in mentoring and coaching. Moreover, I think the slides are going to get shared with everybody, and you'll see that we've cited lots of things as we go from slide 11 through to about slide 15, 16. So you can see the things there as well. Moreover, if you're trying to find something and we can't answer the question today, you can email me. You can email the Mentoring and Coaching Academy. You can email me. You're more than welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. Now come to the last question. The question is how to have a online mentoring process well. Thank you.
Be organized with the structure. So really don't make it up as you're going along. You need to sit down and plan what the mentoring and coaching program looks like. Make an academy, how we made the academy. Really think what's the first thing they need to know, what's the second thing they need to know, what's the third thing they need to know. We talked to a lot of mentors and coaches. We had a lot of meetings before we start designing the course. We're now in the process of designing level 2, and we will meet for months before we even put pen to paper. Before we open a laptop, we'll have 6 months of meetings going back and forth, looking at the rubrics, looking at the lesson designs, what do we want the modules to be, what does the research say should be the focus of this. So really doing our homework and making sure that it's really where it needs to be. My short answer to you would be, how do you get a mentoring and coaching program going? You franchise ours. That would be the short answer. You communicate with us, you talk to us, and you see if we can implement this mentoring and coaching academy in your school. That's an option.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. That helps.
Thank you, Doctor. Now it's time. I think, okay, I would like to end your presentation today, and truly appreciate for both of you for sharing us some very new thing for us, because for me, I'm the new mentor, but not this year, next year, so I can learn a lot from you, and I hope also the audience can learn many things as well. Now it comes to the end, and before we end our parallel session, we would love to our guest speaker and our participants to turn on the camera so we can take a photo together before we end our panel section. So please, everyone, turn on your camera so we can take a picture together. Thank you.
I'm glad I brushed my hair today. If we're taking photos.
It looks nice.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, ready? Okay, so just wait a minute. Okay. Okay, everyone looks
let me share
great.
with you. So in Texas, we have our Aggie rings, and we do gig them like this. Can we get one with everybody giving thumbs up?
Okay, thumbs up. Okay, great. Okay, everyone looks so nice this morning. So I think you guys are ready. So we will take the photo 3 times. So the first, let's count 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 2 more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. The last time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good job, everyone. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I hope we see you again next year.
Okay.
I hope next year, face to face, I hope.
That would be nice.
Thank you so much.
Great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all speakers and participants, I would like to inform you that this parallel session is finished, but we're going to have one more panelist section. So I just dropped the link. So I would like to invite all the speakers and also the participants to click on the link that I just dropped in the task box. So when you click on it, you will go to the panelist section. And I hope we see you guys in the panelist section now. So thank you again, and we really truly appreciate all your participation, for asking questions, and so for any encouragement, information, or feedback on our conference. So we'd like to say goodbye and see you on the penalty section. Good luck, everyone. To the players, bye. Okay.